Have you ever felt like the world around you is alive in ways you can't quite see? Well, let me tell you a story about a girl who found out just how true that is. Her name was Alara, and she lived on the edge of a place known as the Whisperwood. The locals called it the Breathing Forest, and for good reason. Alara wasn't like the other kids in her village. While they played games in the dusty streets, she was drawn to the deep, green shadows of the Whisperwood. She'd spend hours sitting by its edge, listening. She swore she could hear a faint, rhythmic sound, like a giant, slow heartbeat. Sometimes, she even imagined the trees themselves were inhaling and exhaling, their leaves rustling in a way that had nothing to do with the wind. The village elders would warn the children to stay away, telling tales of travelers who got lost in the shifting paths of the forest, never to be seen again. But these stories didn't scare Alara. They only deepened her curiosity. She felt a connection to the woods, a pull she couldn't explain. One sun-drenched afternoon, while chasing a butterfly with wings like stained glass, Alara ventured deeper into the forest than ever before. The air grew thick and sweet with the smell of damp earth and unknown blossoms. The rhythmic sound she'd always heard from a distance was stronger here, a deep, resonant pulse that seemed to vibrate right through the soles of her worn leather boots. She placed her hand on the trunk of an ancient, moss-covered oak, and she felt it, a gentle, steady thrum, like a living pulse. The forest was breathing. It was truly alive. As she moved further in, she noticed something was wrong. Patches of the forest floor were bare and grey, the vibrant mosses brittle and colourless. Some of the great trees drooped, their leaves a sickly yellow instead of a lively green. The air in these areas felt heavy and stagnant, and the rhythmic breathing was fainter, strained. It was as if a part of the forest was struggling to draw a breath. It pained Alara to see it, to feel this giant, living being in distress. She knew, with a certainty that settled deep in her heart, that she had to do something. Following the trail of decay, she arrived at the very heart of the Whisperwood. There, in a sun-dappled clearing, stood a colossal tree, its branches so vast they seemed to hold up the sky itself. This was the heartwood, the source of the forest's life. But at its base, a creeping, dark ooze was seeping from a crack in the earth, poisoning the soil and choking the great tree's roots. The ooze was unnatural, cold, and lifeless, and it was spreading. This was the source of the sickness. Alara knew she couldn't fight this darkness alone. She raced back to her village, her heart pounding with urgency. Bursting into the village square, she tried to explain what she had seen. The pulsing heartwood, the dying trees, the creeping poison. At first, the villagers were skeptical. They'd lived by the forest for generations, content to keep their distance and respect its mysteries. But the earnestness in Alara's eyes, the sheer conviction in her voice, began to sway them. An old woman, the village herbalist, stepped forward. She spoke of ancient legends, of a time when the villagers and the forest lived in harmony, when they understood its language. She believed Alara. Inspired by her courage, the villagers organized. Following the herbalist's guidance, they gathered purifying herbs, spring water from the clearest mountain streams, and glowing mosses that grew only on sacred stones. Armed not with weapons, but with remedies, they followed Alara back into the heart of the forest. The journey felt different this time. They weren't intruders, they were allies. When they reached the heartwood, they worked together. They carefully washed the dark ooze from the great tree's roots with the purified water. They packed the crack in the earth with a poultice of healing herbs and soil. Alara, feeling a deep sense of connection, laid her hands on the heartwood's trunk and began to hum a simple, wordless tune that came from her heart, a melody of hope and healing. As she hummed, the others joined in, their voices blending into a gentle chorus that echoed through the clearing. Slowly, almost imperceptibly at first, a change began. A soft, golden light started to emanate from the heartwood, pulsing in time with their song. The light spread outwards, touching the sickened trees and the grey, barren ground. As the light passed over them, the yellow leaves turned a vibrant green, and the brittle mosses softened and regained their colour. The dark ooze sizzled and dissolved, retreating back into the earth until it was completely gone. A deep, full breath seemed to sweep through the entire forest, a collective sigh of relief. The rhythmic pulse grew strong and steady once more, healthier than Alara had ever felt it. From that day on, the Whisperwood was no longer a place of fear for the villagers. Alara had bridged the gap between their two worlds. They learned to listen to the forest's breath, to read the signs in its leaves, and to care for it as it cared for them. The forest, in turn, thrived. It shared its bounty, offering fruits and herbs the villagers had never seen before. The paths no longer shifted to confuse travelers. but seemed to gently guide those who entered with respect. Alara became the guardian of the forest, the keeper of its secrets. She taught the village children to place their hands on the trees and feel the life within, to listen to the whisper of the leaves, and to understand that the world is full of magic if you only know how to look for it. She showed them that even the smallest person can make the biggest difference, and that courage and compassion are the most powerful forces of all. The breathing forest and the village lived in harmony, their heartbeats forever intertwined, all thanks to a curious girl who dared to listen. Thank you so much for watching and sharing this story with me. If you love tales of magic, courage, and the hidden wonders of the world, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. We have so many more adventures to share. Until next time, keep listening to the whispers of the world around you.